But the main question everybody asks is still, how do you believe such a story? And my question then to those individuals is, what other story is there to believe?
Oh, I don't know. How about this one? A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Hey everybody, this is going to be a video response for a person named Neptune Knives. If you've known me for any amount of time, you know I have another channel where I talk about outdoor gear and pocket knives and all kinds of little hobbies and things. And this is somebody I kind of interact with over on that channel, but since this video is going to be about religion, I'm going to do it on this channel. So this is going to be a video response for Neptune Knives, and let's get straight to the heart of the matter. First, we'll talk about his first point, and then we'll get to what this video is really going to be about.
If you actually think about it, what other answers has anyone given you that you honestly feel logically is good enough? For example, so all the scientists in the world, with all their research and funding, the only answer they can come up with is bang, it just happened. Bang, it just happened. Like, you really honestly accept that answer?
Alright, this video is not going to be about the Big Bang Theory, but I'm going to stop right here because this is one of the dumbest things I've seen in a long time. If you honestly think that all the scientists that are working on this sort of thing are sitting around without a clue, and so they just got to come up with something, and so they just say, bang, it just happened, you're an idiot. I honestly have no other term to use for you. You can be ignorant of the subject, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. But once you open your mouth and prove your ignorance by trying to discredit something that you have no knowledge of, makes you an idiot. There's just no, I'm sorry, there's no other way to put that. There's a lot of things I don't know. So you don't see me, just because I, don't like the way something is going to work out or whatever. I can't make a video, making a slights towards something I don't understand. Can't do it, because then I would be an idiot, just like you have done in your video. And that's, I'm sorry, I'm going to be blunt. That's just the only way to put that. If you don't know about something, that's fine. Like I said, there's plenty of things I don't know about, and guess what? If I don't know about them, I go research it and find out. And I don't just look at one source. I look at all of the data that I can get my hands on and draw conclusions from that. Your gross oversimplification of the Big Bang Theory it's mind-boggling for one. But you're going to have to explain to me how Magic Man did it is a better answer. Okay. All these scientists that you say claim, bang, it just happened, they have a lot of data and evidence on their side that's been collected over years, decades. You might have heard of some of these people, like some guy named Albert Einstein came up with, general relativity, special relativity, things like that. You're going to have to show the data and research that disproves him, okay, in a peer-reviewed process. And that's kind of what you've done. You've entered the peer arena here on YouTube, and I'm responding. And other people can do it better than I can when it comes to the Big Bang Theory. But I want to see the data and evidence for magic, because that is the physics involved when somebody creates something out of absolutely nothing. I want to see that data. So you're going to have to show me that rather than making an emotional plea, that it just makes you feel better to believe that there's this guy out there that just does stuff, you're going to have to show me that he actually did it and how he did it. Okay? And there's plenty of Christians, you're making this video as a Christian. There's plenty of Christians who will disagree with you. I mean, if you want to go debate William Lane Craig on whether the Big Bang happened, knock yourself out. Because I'm still waiting to see William Lane Craig debate Kent Hovind. I'd love to see that debate. Who cares about the Richard Dawkins debate? I want to see Kent Hovind and William Lane Craig. But if you don't know anything about the subject, you're just sticking your foot in your mouth. But that's not necessarily what this video is about. The subject of this video is, when do we just accept an answer versus, not having an answer to something? There's plenty of things I'm not going to know about in my lifetime, and I'm okay with that. I've come to grips with the fact that, I'm going to die, and there's a lot of things I'm not going to know. I'm not going to know how to know things in my lifetime. Leonardo da Vinci worked for years on a helicopter. He wanted to know how to fly. He died not knowing how to fly. Okay? And in the same way, I'm probably going to die and not have an answer to any of the origin questions. And I'm okay with that. Just like Leonardo da Vinci, no skin off my back that Leonardo da Vinci died before he learned how to fly. My great-great-great-great-grandkids are going to be okay with the fact that I died before knowing any of the origin stuff. So I don't have a problem with that. Some people do, and it shows. And so let's get to the meat of this video.
Let's take, for example, your child breaks a lamp, and you come home and you ask your child, hey, what happened? And they say, it just happened. Would you accept that answer? That is not a legitimate answer. I would expect a real answer. I would prefer some kind of story or some kind of explanation beyond it just happened.
So basically, you're setting up a dichotomy where you already know what happened. You already said your kid broke the lamp and you came home, and he gives you this story that it just happened. And you're not willing to accept that because you think there's more to it. How do you know your kid broke the lamp? What if your kid is in one room of the house and a lamp breaks in the other room of the house? Your kid comes in, sees the lamp broke on the ground, and he doesn't know what happened. So according to your kid, it just happened. What happened while the kid was in the other room? Do you know? Because there's a lot of possibilities here that could lead to that lamp being broken, and they don't involve your kid. So you are automatically going to accuse your child of lying or withholding information from you because he may honestly not know what happened to that lamp. I could throw scenarios out all day long as to what could break that lamp. Okay. So just saying you need a story or something to bring some kind of closure to it shows a fundamental flaw in being human, actually. Because we do seek answers to things. If we didn't, we wouldn't have fields like science. If I come home to my house and find that it's been broken into, do I know what happened? No, I don't know. So I need to look for evidence. Okay? So I can either start doing, CSI forensics and try to piece together what happened. I can also go and ask my neighbors if they have any input in this and weigh their anecdotal evidence toward the story that they're going to give me versus the evidence on the ground as to what happened, and which one of them holds more weight. So let's say I go to one of my neighbors and I ask them if they know what happened, and he says he believes Bigfoot came down from the mountains and kicked in my front door, ransacked my house, ran out and ran back up to the mountains. And I ask, well, what? There's no footprints in my yard or anything. Why would I think Bigfoot did that? And he's going to kick in apologetics and tell me, Bigfoot's like the Viet Cong. He covers up his tracks so you can't see that he's been there. Okay, so now I've got a story. Do I believe that story? I don't know. So I either don't know what happened, or I accept this story, and that's what I'm supposed to do. Logically, should I do that? So let's go to the next neighbor on the other side and ask, did they see anything? And he says, well, I'm not sure, but I believe a UFO came down, and the spacecraft landed in your yard, and little green men came out, broke into your house, and then came running out, jumped back in their spacecraft, and took off. Do I believe that story? I mean, I still, I don't know. It just happened. Is that my explanation, or, I know something happened, but I don't know what. And now I have a story that tells me that aliens came down in a spacecraft and did it. And that kind of conflicts with this other story over here that tells me that Bigfoot came down from the mountains and did it. So now I have two stories versus not having an answer. Which one of them am I supposed to believe? Am I supposed to be okay with not having the answer and being able to backtrack what happened to a certain point and I don't know anything beyond this point? Or do I just accept one of these two answers? I just accept whichever one I like better. Is that what I'm supposed to do here? Or is it logically more acceptable to admit that I don't have an answer and may never have an answer and this thing will be unexplained. Actually, that is the case. And that's where we get into religions and the God questions when it comes to things like the Big Bang and conflicting stories coming from religions. If we look at things like the Big Bang Theory, we can see that the evidence has been presented, and we can rewind this evidence and look at the data and draw a conclusion versus a story that conflicts with that, depending on how you interpret it. And just because we like this story, do we toss out the hard evidence, the data on the scene for the story? So do I toss out the evidence that I find a boot print on my door that doesn't match, Bigfoot's shoe size, say it's a size 5, versus the fact that aliens wouldn't wear, Nikes? Even though I have data that shows that Bigfoot didn't do it, and I have data that shows aliens didn't do it, just because I don't know anything beyond that point, do I throw that out and accept one of these two stories? Just like two conflicting religions, say Christianity versus Raelianism or Scientology? No. The best answer is to go with the evidence and admit that you don't know beyond a certain point. You're ignorant beyond a certain point. And that's exactly what the Big Bang Theory does. And so your entire video, the premise of your entire video, is nothing more than an emotional plea to kind of subside your ignorance on the subject, which is, like I said, it's not necessarily a bad thing. But when you try to convince other people, when you actually don't know what you're talking about, it makes you look idiotic. And that's where we get this thing of, just accepting an answer versus not having an answer. So there you go. Take it for what it's worth. And that's why I don't accept, things like the Jesus story. Once we look at the evidence, I toss out the story that conflicts with the evidence. Gone. That's why I'm not a Scientologist. It's not why I'm a Muslim, or not a Muslim. That's not why I'm not a Christian. All of these different religions. And until you can put forth evidence for things like magic, I'm not going to look at your story at all. Okay. Just simply saying you don't think it happened that way, or since somebody doesn't know something, therefore this other thing has more weight, doesn't cut it. You have to have evidence for your story. I want to see the evidence that there's a guy out there who just magically poofs things into existence. I want to see that evidence before I'm going to discount the fact that we have evidence pointing to a certain point and we don't know anything beyond that point. So you've got a long road ahead of you to do that. And actually, you probably win the Nobel Prize if you do so. So take it for what it's worth, and everybody have a nice day.